everyone, Vincenzo Calla here with VCalla Productions. Today I'm sitting here with Francesco Sorbara, Member of Parliament for Vaughan, Woodbridge. Today we're going to be talking about Italian Heritage Month. So thank you, Francesco, for your time and welcome to the VCalla Show.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here, Vincenzo. Nice to see you.
Well, it's nice to see you in person. We last chatted, I want to say, end of last year, early this year at some point, and it was really good, and I'm glad to be here to talk about Italian Heritage Month. So this month, June, is Italian Heritage Month, a month where Italians worldwide, like myself and Francesco, celebrate and honor our culture. Throughout the month, there are many festivals and cultural events across our country where we celebrate this month. Since 2015, Francesco has been a strong advocate for Italian culture in the House of Commons and in his community of Vaughan, Woodbridge. So, Francesco, first off, I'm going to ask you, what does Italian Heritage Month mean to you?
Well, thank you for being here today, and it's great to do this interview with a fellow Canadian of Italian heritage. And your question about what does Italian heritage mean to me? Someone who is the child of immigrants who came from southern Italy in search of a better life and a better future for their children. What it means for me is remembering the contributions, the past and the ongoing contributions of the Italian Canadian community to Canada, thinking about what it means, the sacrifices that these individuals made for us. They kind of paved the road for us because it was a bumpy road. And also to recognize our culture, our heritage, our language, and how those things have fit into Canada, how the Italian language is vibrant to Canada, how the Italian culture, the food, the vehicles, the clothing, the joie de vivre, the architecture, the science, the history, the language, the just all certain aspects are interwoven into Canadian society.
So I want to ask you now, so over the past seven and a bit years, how has it been like to be an Italian Canadian member of the House of Commons? I know there's a great deal and a great number of Italian Canadians in the House. How has it been for you?
Special. It's been special. First and foremost, as a parliamentarian, we have the privilege of representing all our constituents and doing the best job we can representing them. And at the same time, you are a newcomer to Canada. You are the child of immigrants, and you know there is a special part of you that sort of understands the journey that your family has been on. And in my riding, which is 50% Canadian of Italian heritage residents, I see their stories all the time. I can connect with their stories, and it's very special to represent many generations of Canadians of Italian heritage and Italians that have immigrated to Canada who have helped build this country. It's a real privilege. And it's a real honor for me to be the Member of Parliament for the riding of Vaughan Woodbridge.
Well, and it's so important. Like my grandparents on both sides were immigrants to Canada, and worked to build like construction and building the roads and building all these things. And it was a big part of our culture. Our people came and built the roads and built the buildings and all these things. And it was a big part of our country. And I want to ask you a bit about Vaughan Woodbridge now. So you talked about that and how it has a big Italian population. I know whenever I go to Toronto, we go to Cataldi and we go to all the Italian stores that are there. And what has it been like to sort of represent that population, how there's a massive population of Italian Canadians there?
Well, it's very special. I often like to say that the individuals in my riding are the most entrepreneurial and generous in the entire country. They're the most entrepreneurial and hardworking because they've sacrificed so much, and just achieved such a high level of success that it makes me very proud. They're generous because there's not a weekend that goes by that there's not an event that the community is not at supporting, whether it's autism, whether it's the hospital, whether it's hospice, whether it's cancer, whether it's support of a young child, the food bank, the community, and with other communities, of course. We are there in support and offering our generosity, our time, and financial support, and representing that's very special. And then just seeing how the community and the next generations that are coming forward, younger than me, my age, your age, are just taking the baton of hard work, hope, creating a better future for us and other individuals, and also the great food that I have in my riding, the many fresh cheese locations you can go, the many meat shops that you have, family-run businesses, the Cataldis, the pastry shops, the best pastries in all of Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
all of Canada, I would argue, in Vaughan, Woodbridge. The restaurants, the food that you find there is second to none.
And it's such a great part of your community and communities, Italian communities across the country. Like here in Ottawa, there's a good Italian population. In Montreal, that's where some of my family is, in Montreal, and across the country. It's so important. And I wanted to ask you a bit of how you've advocated in the House of Commons. I know last year on Italian Heritage Month, you had a good speech there, and I wanted to ask you how you've advocated for Italian Canadian heritage there.
Well, the one thing that I brought up, I'm a strong advocate for my riding, and I'm a strong advocate for my stakeholders, whether it's business, because it's my background, whether it's my community, whether it's the Italian Canadian community or other communities, of course. Since being elected in 2015, we've done a number of things. First, we declared June Italian Heritage Month across Canada. We got that done in the first session of Parliament. We have restored the Milan Trade Office through the Trade Minister's Office, something we advocated for before we shut down. We did a trip during the G7 trade mission of Italian Canadian business people and others within the business community to Italy. Italy is one of Canada's largest trading partners. A number, depending on the month, between 7 or 8. Number 7 or 8. We then also strengthened and expanded the Youth Mobility Agreement, the International Experience Class, the Youth Mobility Agreement between Italy and Canada. We increased the number of spots to over 2,000 spots, the period of time from 1 year to 2 years to put it in line with other agreements. So, and also, we did the apology, the Prime Minister made the apology for the internment of Italian Canadians during World War II. So when I think about what we've done and advocated for the Italian community here in Canada over the last 7 years, I look back with much pride of the work we've done, and I look forward with much pride and much optimism for the work that we will do in the future.
And about that future now, I think it's been about 7 or 8 Italian Heritage Months as that you've been an MP in, and that your government has been a government in, about 7 or 8 now. And I wanted to talk about the future. So what do you think the government can do, your government can do, to reflect on the extensive history and contributions of Italian Canadians to our country this Italian Heritage Month?
Well, post-COVID, looking at this Italian Heritage Month, I'm very excited that we can again participate in person, and very much looking forward to that. I think what we can do, as not as government, but I think what the community can do, is to continue to push and to preserve and celebrate the Italian language, the Italian story, the Italian culture, and the Italian Canadian presence in Canada, which has been well over 100 years here in Canada, and just the contributions of Italian Canadians. That's what we need to do as a community. We need to remember and look forward, and also strengthen the ties between Canadians of Italian descent here in Canada and Italians in Italy, of course, the Italian citizenry, to make sure those that we call legami, those ties between our two nations, are strengthened. And whether it's bilateral visits, whether it's participating in the Italian Chamber of Commerce, whether it's in Montreal or Toronto, going to see Italian films during Italian Contemporary Film Festival, whether it's going to the Italian Cultural Institute, interacting with the ambassador here. There's much we can do as parliamentarians, but there's also even more that we can do as a community in all the great community organizations.
Definitely, and I'm so excited for this Italian Heritage Month here in Ottawa. The Italian Church, I think it's about 110 years that they've been around now here in Ottawa.
Wow.
And the festivals and many of the times before I even met you, I always used to see you on the Festival Italiano di Gianni Lombardi on TV.
Yes,
that's a great way that our Italian Canadian culture has stayed alive in this city, in this country, with the impacts of Gianni Lombardi and other Italian Canadians who have kept this culture alive in Canada. So really exciting times and a great future.
Oh, thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
And you go by Vince or Vincenzo?
Vincenzo.
Vincenzo's a beautiful. My dad's name is Vincenzo, so
okay,
it's a beautiful name, and that's I'd be very proud of that name. Look, we come from a very special community, the Italian people, and the history of Italy, and obviously even predating Italy, is one of great artists, great entrepreneurs, great innovators, and ingenuity, ingenio as we call it, and ingenuity in the Italian people. That is very special, and I would say second to none.
And definitely, and exciting this month. I look forward to celebrating it. We're celebrating it here on the VCalla Show today. So thanks, Francesco, for joining me. It was great having you. And the VCalla Show is a VCalla production. So until the next video, I'm Vincenzo Calla, signing out.